The human body doesn't know how to lie. We train our mouths to say the right words, but the body always tells the truth. And for 4 seconds, in an interview that went around the world, Gerry McCann's body screamed. His mouth was saying one thing, but his face was telling a completely different story. No one in the room noticed. The journalists didn't see it. But the camera recorded everything. And that's what I'm going to show you today. You've felt it, haven't you? That feeling in the pit of your stomach when you just know that someone is lying to you. The story sounds right. The words are convincing, but something is off. And the worst part is not being able to prove it. It's being called crazy, a conspiracy theorist, just because your intuition is screaming louder than everyone else's logic. The McCann case has made us feel this way for almost 20 years. But today we're not going to use intuition. We're going to use science. I'm going to show you, frame by frame, the exact moment Gerry McCann's mask cracked. After seeing this, you will never look at this interview, or perhaps any other, the same way again. If you're ready to finally have visual proof of what your gut has been telling you all along, stay here. We're about to put the truth under a microscope. Okay, before we get to the exact moment, to the scene you will never forget, you need to understand why the body betrays the mouth. This isn't magic, it's not guesswork. It's pure and simple neuroscience. Think of your brain as a computer, a powerful computer, but one with limited processing power. When you tell the truth, the task for your brain is ridiculously easy. It's like asking it to open a file that's already on the desktop. The story already exists, it's real, it's recorded. It just needs to access and report it. It's a low-energy task. It's like floating down a river with the current. You don't need to exert any effort. The story flows, the boat glides. Now lying is hell for your brain. It's asking that same computer to run 3 heavyweight programs at the same time. It's rowing against the current of a raging river in the middle of a storm. First, your brain has to run the suppress the truth program. It needs to take the real file, the memory of what actually happened, and actively lock it in a vault. This alone consumes tremendous energy because the truth wants to get out. Say it pushes against the vault door, it screams to be heard. Second, while holding the vault door shut with one hand, it has to run the create the lie program with the other. It has to build an alternate reality from scratch. And this story can't be simple. It has to be coherent, have details, a timeline, answers to unexpected questions. It's an intense, real-time creative effort. Third, and this is the part that causes the system to crash, it has to run the constant monitoring program. It has to control your tone of voice so you don't sound nervous. It has to control your gestures so they don't seem forced. It has to control your facial expressions so they don't show the wrong emotion. And at the same time, it has to monitor the reaction of the person you're talking to. Their eyes, their body language. Are they buying it? Are they suspicious? Do I need to change my strategy? It's a cognitive load, a processing load that is absolutely brutal. The human brain simply wasn't designed to sustain this performance for long, and that's why it fails. The gesture that gives the game away, is exactly that, a glitch in the system. It's a short circuit. It's the moment when the rower, exhausted from fighting the current of truth, stops rowing for a fraction of a second. And in that instant, the boat, which was being forced in one direction, violently swerves toward the current, toward the truth. What happened to Gerry McCann, which I'm about to describe to you in detail, was exactly this moment of cerebral exhaustion, a 4-second flash where the effort of lying became so great that his system collapsed and leaked the pure, unfiltered truth. And where does this truth leak most clearly? The face. This is where we need to talk about the work of a man named Paul Ekman. If you've never heard of him, remember this name. Ekman is the father of modern lie detection. He's not an armchair psychologist. He's a scientist who went into the field. In the 60s and 70s, he did something no one had done before. He traveled the world, went to the most isolated tribes in Papua New Guinea, places that had never had contact with Western culture, that had never seen a movie or a magazine. And he proved something revolutionary. There are 7 basic human emotions whose facial expressions are universal. They are not learned, they are innate, they are in our DNA. It doesn't matter if you were born in New York or in a village in the Amazon, your face will contort in exactly the same way to express joy, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, and the seventh, the most important for our case, contempt. But Ekman's masterstroke, the discovery that changed the game forever, was that of micro-expressions. He noticed, by analyzing slow-motion footage, that when a person consciously tries to hide a real emotion, that emotion leaks. It escapes in an involuntary muscle spasm in the face that lasts less than half a second. It's a flash, a movement so fast that most people don't perceive it consciously. But our brain does. That's why you get that gut feeling that someone is lying. It's not mysticism. It's your brain picking up a micro-expression and sending you an alarm signal that you feel in the pit of your stomach. Ekman's work is so precise, so scientifically validated, that today it forms the basis of training for the FBI, the CIA, Scotland Yard, and any intelligence agency worth its salt. They no longer use the polygraph, that flawed machine that measures nervousness, not lies. They use Ekman's science. They train their agents to become human polygraphs, because while a person can train to control their heart rate, no one, absolutely, no one on the planet can control their micro-expressions. They are a direct reflex of the limbic system, the most primitive and honest part of our brain. It's the truth of our soul exploding on our face for a fraction of a second. This isn't textbook theory. It's a science applied every day in the real world where the stakes are incredibly high. Think of a poker table in Las Vegas with millions of dollars on the line. The professional players aren't just looking at the cards. They are hunting each other, hunting for tells. An eye blink that's faster than usual, a nostril that flares for an instant, the corner of a mouth that twitches for a millisecond. All of this is information. A player can have the most neutral face in the world, the famous poker face, and say in a calm voice, "I've got nothing." But if his face leaks a micro-expression of joy, his opponent knows he's holding the hand of the century. It's a war of signals, fought in silence. Or think of the case that defined a generation, the Bill Clinton scandal in the White House. I want you to picture the scene, the president of the most powerful nation on earth, standing in front of the flag, speaking to all the cameras, and he says that line that went down in history, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." His mouth said the words, but his body screamed the opposite. The pointed finger, a classic gesture of someone trying to force an authority they don't feel, of someone trying to sell a lie with aggression. The tension in his jaw. But the main thing, which Ekman's analysts pointed out at the time, was a flash of contempt that crossed his face. Contempt for the question, contempt for the person asking, contempt for being caught. The mouth lied, but the face confessed. Each of these people was wearing a mask. Clinton wore the mask of the outraged president. The poker player wears the mask of neutrality. Gerry McCann, for his part, wore the most powerful mask of all, that of the grieving father, the victim of the story. But, as we are about to discover, no mask is perfect. No porcelain is unbreakable. There is always an internal pressure, the force of truth, seeking a way out. And it always, always finds a crack, however fine, through which to leak. Now that, you understand the science behind what happened. Now that you have the tools not just to hear my description, but to see the scene through the eyes of an expert, it's time to go to the interrogation room, the interview that changed everything. I'm going to take you inside that studio. I'll describe the lighting, the camera positions, the exact question that was asked, and then I will guide you second by second through the crack in the mask. Are you ready to see what the camera captured? All right, we're now going to the interrogation room. The year is 2007. The dust from the disappearance is still thick in the air. The McCanns have agreed to an interview with a Spanish television station. The journalist is an experienced professional, but she is not an investigator. The studio is cold. The lighting is professional, designed to create no shadows. Gerry and Kate are sitting side by side. Their posture is what the world has grown accustomed to seeing. Slumped shoulders, expressions of exhaustion, the mask of grieving parents firmly in place. The interview follows a predictable script. Questions about the night of the disappearance, about the investigation, about the pain they feel. Gerry's answers are polished, rehearsed. He is a doctor, an articulate man, used to public speaking. He controls the narrative with an iron fist. The mask is perfect. But then the journalist, almost by chance, asks a question that goes off script. A question that isn't about the investigation, isn't about the pain, in an almost casual tone. Have you ever asked yourselves if in some way you could have prevented this? If you had done something differently that night? It's a question about personal responsibility. And it is here, at this exact point, that the pressure on the porcelain mask becomes unbearable. Pay close attention now. I'm going to describe what happens in the next 4 seconds. I want you to visualize the scene as if you were watching it, in super slow motion. The journalist's question ends. There is a 1-second silence. Gerry McCann is looking at her. His face is neutral, the mask is intact. He begins to formulate the verbal response. His mouth prepares to say what the world expects to hear, that they blame themselves every day, that the regret is immense, the answer of a devastated father. But his body gets there first. Second. 1. The exact instant the question about their responsibility ends, before he can even begin to speak, the first glitch occurs. His eyes, which were focused on the journalist, dart sharply down and to the left. In the science of neuro-linguistic programming, this is a classic eye movement, associated with creating a response, with constructing a narrative, not with accessing a real memory or feeling. He didn't go inward to find the pain, he went sideways to find the script. Second. 2. While his eyes are averted, his mouth makes the most revealing movement of all. The left corner of his upper lip pulls up in a subtle but unmistakable sneer. It's a unilateral movement, slightly baring the canine tooth. This is not a muscle associated with sadness. It is not associated with fear. It is not associated with regret. In the science of Paul Ekman, this movement, the unilateral raising of the corner of the mouth, has a very specific name and meaning. It is the universal micro-expression of fond contempt. It's the emotion we feel when we consider ourselves superior to someone, when we judge another as pathetic or unworthy. It's the emotion of someone who feels unjustly accused by someone they consider inferior. Second. 3. The contempt lasts only a fraction of a second, but the disturbance in the system is so great that it causes a second glitch. His head, which had been still, gives a slight but distinct affirmative nod. A yes with his head, an almost imperceptible gesture, a positive nod that happens while his mouth is preparing to say no and deny any direct responsibility. The body says yes while the mind prepares the no. It is a physical and brutal contradiction. Second. 4. The mask snaps back into place. The eyes return to the journalist. The expression of contempt vanishes. The head stops moving, and then the mouth finally delivers the rehearsed answer. He talks about the pain, about the regret, about how they will blame themselves forever. The words are perfect. The performance is convincing. But the body for 4 seconds had already confessed the truth. Let's recap the sequence, the signature of the lie. The question is about responsibility. The verbal response is one of regret. But the bodily response, the honest response, was, first, an eye dart to construct the lie. Second, a flash of contempt for the question and the journalist. Third, a nod confirming the premise of the question, even if unconsciously. His mouth said, "I am a victim." His face screamed, "How dare you ask me that?" It's strange how certain truths, even when only described, hurt when they land in the silence. Now for the hardest part. The question I need to ask isn't for me, it's for you. Imagine you are on a jury. There is no DNA, there is no murder weapon, there is no eyewitness. The prosecution shows you this description. They convince you of the science behind it. The only proof they have against the defendant is this description of a 4-second lapse, a moment of involuntary truth that leaked through the mask. The defense, on the other hand, argues that this is pseudoscience, that you cannot convict a man based on a nervous twitch, on a grimace. That grief is complex and has no script. What would you do? Would you trust the science of behavior? What the man's body screamed when he didn't know he was being heard? Or would you acquit him for lack of hard proof, something you can touch like a knife or a fingerprint? Where for you does the analysis end and the condemnation begin? The mask cracked. I showed you the light leaking through. The question now is, what are you going to do with what you've seen? This decision, this weight, is what separates a spectator from a juror. And today I've put you in the jury box. The truth, after all, isn't just about discovering the facts. It's about having the courage to interpret them. That feeling in the pit of your stomach, that silent alarm that goes off in your head when you hear a lie. For years, maybe your whole life, you've learned to doubt it. You learn to call it a hunch, paranoia, intuition. Society teaches us to trust only what is said, what is on paper, what is official, and we learn to silence that inner voice that tells us something is wrong. What I hope you've understood today is that this voice isn't mystical. It's not a vague feeling. Your intuition was, all along, your brain functioning as the supercomputer it is. It was your brain capturing the micro-expressions, the eye darts, the contradictions between gesture and word. It was processing thousands of bits of non-verbal information per second and sending you a single clear signal. Warning, dissonance detected. Your intuition wasn't a feeling. It was unprocessed data. What we did here today was simply take that raw data you've always felt and put it under the light of science, giving it a name and a structure. We gave language to your perception. From now on, you no longer have to say, "I feel like he's lying." You can say, "I saw the contempt leak out as he was denying it." Your perception has gained authority. Aristotle, more than 2,000 years ago, said that the soul expresses itself through the body, that our internal conflicts inevitably manifest in our actions. He didn't have the technology to film in slow motion, but he understood the fundamental truth. The body doesn't know how to lie. It is the witness that is always present, that sees everything, and that cannot be bribed or intimidated. You can think of the human body as the most advanced polygraph in existence. A polygraph that doesn't just measure nervousness, which can be caused by countless factors. It measures incongruence. It measures the monumental effort the brain makes to row against the current of truth. The architects of the cover-up in the McCann case, whoever they are, were masters of narrative. They controlled the media, they controlled the interviews, they controlled the words that came out of their mouths with impressive discipline. They built a fortress of plausible deniability. But they forgot one thing. They forgot to control the witness that never falls silent. The witness that was sitting in the chair in front of the cameras the whole time, Gerry McCann's own body. And that witness, under the pressure of a single question, spoke. And it spoke loudly. And this brings me to the most important point of our entire conversation. This video, this analysis, was never just about Gerry McCann. It was about you. It was about us. It was about calibrating our gaze. It was about taking this tool that nature gave us, this ability to detect truth, and sharpening it. It was about giving you the confidence to believe what you perceive instead of doubting yourself. From today on, you will no longer just watch an interview. You will analyze it. You will no longer just listen to a politician. You will observe him. You will notice the slight hesitation before an answer, the flash of anger in the eyes of someone who claims to be calm, the smile that doesn't reach the muscles around the eyes, the so-called Duchenne smile, which is the only genuine smile. You will become an active perceiver, no longer a passive consumer of narratives. You will start to see the cracks in the masks everywhere. Not because you've become a cynical person, but because you've become a more attentive person, more awake. The doubt that haunted you for years about this case, that feeling that something was there, now has a name. It's called a micro-expression of contempt. Now it has a face, the face of Gerry McCann. And now it has a duration, 4 seconds. The doubt that was a ghost is now evidence you can describe, and that clarity, that ability to turn a feeling into an observable fact, is a form of power. It's a form of healing for the frustration of not being believed. What we do with this power, with this new way of seeing, is the question that remains. Do we use it to judge, to condemn, or do we use it to protect, to make ourselves harder, to deceive, to demand a higher standard of truth from those in power, whether in a criminal case or in our daily lives? The choice is yours, but one thing is certain. You can no longer unsee what you learned to see today. Your perception has been permanently altered. The truth, in the end, is not a treasure hidden on a distant island. It is here, right in front of us all the time. It leaks through the cracks, whispers in the pauses, screams in the gestures. We just need to learn to silence the world's noise and listen with our eyes. In the end, the porcelain mask always cracks. Not because it is weak, but because truth is like light. It doesn't need to shatter the whole mask. It doesn't need an explosion. It only needs a single crack, however fine, to begin to leak through. And once the light gets in, it illuminates everything from within. Our mission, yours and mine, is to find those tell, not just as proof of deception, but as a moment of profound tragedy. The tragedy of a man whose facade, built so carefully for so long, crumbled in the blink of an eye, live, for the whole world to see, even if no one was really looking. My opinion, based not on feeling but on the cold analysis of behavioral science, is that in that moment, Gerry McCann's body confessed. It confessed not necessarily an act, but a secret. The emotion that leaked was not that of a heartbroken father, but that of a man with an unbearable burden, indignant at being questioned. And that incongruity, for me, is the key that opens the door to the cover-up. They can build whatever walls they want with words and press officers. But the body doesn't know how to lie. And today we learn to hear what it says when the mouth is silent. If this video gave you a new tool, a new way of seeing the world, if it gave you the clarity your intuition was searching for, and if you believe that this work of exposing the truth hidden in the details must continue, this is your moment. The Super Chat on this channel, I want you to understand, is not a request. It's a symbol. It's a silent gesture of belonging. It's your way of looking into this darkness and saying, I saw it too. It's your signature on the expert report we've compiled together here. It's your voice, joining mine, to say out loud, the mask is cracked. Now, after everything we've been through together here, I want to know what this awakened inside you. What was the feeling when I described the contempt on his face? Was it anger? Was it pity? Was it the satisfaction of finally having confirmation? Leave your thoughts in the comments. It doesn't have to be an essay. It can be just a line, a word, a feeling, but let it be real. I will read every single one. Because every person who learns to see the truth between the lines is a victory, and not all silence is forgetting. And for those who felt that this analysis opened a door to a dark hallway full of other doors, know that it did. Gerry McCann's tell is just one piece. Kate's behavior, in other interviews, reveals a completely different but equally revealing set of signals. It's a story about fear, not contempt. And when you put the two together, the picture that forms is terrifying. It is to that other door that we go now. If you have the stomach to continue this forensic analysis, to decode the other half of the story that was hidden in Kate's face, subscribe to the channel. The complete truth is a puzzle, and we've only assembled the first piece. The human body doesn't know how to lie. We try. We train our mouths to say the right words, but the body always tells the truth.